quick question. So what advice would you give to, I mean, I was doing this, we were in a startup, people always want to know about ideas and skills in terms of, if a person just finishes college, what advice would you really give them to enter into the real world right now with the current economic situation, in your opinion?
That's a great question and a very apt one given the changing times that we are facing. Firstly, I think for anyone entering the real world, they need to be cognizant of the fact that change is in the air, and it's in the air like it's never been before. We are experiencing rapid change, and quite clearly they need to keep their eyes open for the changes that are happening, because everything, literally everything that we take for granted is now up for change. So I think that's something I would definitely advise them to keep their eyes open for. But in terms of personal qualities, I would firstly suggest humility. I think the crises that we have seen over the last 10 years, if there is one thing that we have learned from those, is that arrogance really kills. And you could graduate from the best universities in the world, you could have an Ivy League stamp, but it means nothing if you fail at your first job. So I think it's important to be humble, it's important to be a good listener, and it's important to take a step at a time. At the same time, almost every situation in some way, shape or form presents an opportunity. And I think those that really are able to grab onto those opportunities are the ones that will do well in the real world.
Nice one, because humility is a very, everybody speaks about that, but how does one really, so if you have those persons who are very ambitious, how do they really cultivate the humility? Do they have to fail to come to that level, or do they have to just, how does one really cultivate that?
So you can be ambitious and humble at the same time. The two are not mutually exclusive. Humility comes from a recognition that you are fortunate to be where you are. You are, there's a significant percentage of the world that goes to bed every night without food in their stomach. There's a significant percentage of the world that dies from diseases that are very easily preventable. And I think that for most people listening to this interview, they have to be cognizant of the fact that they are lucky to be where they are. And I think that concept, that idea that you are just a speck in this entire universe is what will really bring humility. At the end of the day, we're lucky to be born in the families that we're born into. We're lucky to be brought up in the manner that we're brought up. We're lucky to have the education that we've had. And a lot of us pat ourselves on the back and says it's hard work and it's we did well in school and we did well at university. But the fact is that the majority of that is due to the city or the country that you were born in or that you were raised in, the family that you were brought up into, and that's just and who's to say how that happened? Whether you look at it from a religious perspective or from a science perspective, either way, we are lucky to be where we are.
Very true. So in terms of Navin, we talked this about earlier in terms of failures, right? Failure is such a pivotal moment for people, whether it shapes your values or shapes your ambition, whatever, and it gives you clarity. But in your opinion, for you, what's been your biggest failure and how has it really shaped you?
So I've had a number of failures along the way. Failure is an extremely strong word. And it's actually a word I don't like to use, just because I look at failures as part of a journey where there's success. And really as long as one reflects, and that reflection could happen at the end of every day, it could happen throughout the day, it could happen monthly, it could happen annually. But as long as one takes time to step out of their day-to-day environment and reflect upon what is deemed to be a failure, and really ask themselves the question that what did I really do wrong, and what have I learned from this? That's really the key. So actually, failure is to me an essential part of the journey to success. In terms of what's been my favorite failure, I've never been asked that question actually, because the word favorite and failure don't usually go together.
Exactly, like oxymoron.
But I've had a few of them. I had a joint venture once upon a time with an excellent company, but the gentleman on the other side and myself had different philosophies, different views on how the business should turn out, and what sort of impact it should create for its stakeholders. And you know, I've learned from that, because now when I get into a joint venture, I ensure that the thinking of the investors and the partners is aligned. And I look for little clues, you know, because it's difficult to determine whether your thinking is aligned. So you look for little clues.
Like what? Clues like?
For instance, the way they communicate with their team. And when I say their team, I don't mean their vice presidents or their business heads. The way they communicate with their assistant. What their assistant says about them. Do I get a feeling of happiness when I walk into their office? Is the lady or the man at the reception, are they smiling? You know, these are little things, the little clues that I look for to determine that is this really a company that I want to get into a marriage with, and really that's my thinking today, and that's a very, very important lesson I learned from my favorite failure.
Excellent. Very interesting points there. We write about, because just to give feedback, because I got great feedback about you from your own team members saying that your speed of execution and so on is very, very important. I'm curious about one thing, Navin. What is what's your morning routine as soon as you wake up? Tell me the first hour. What do you do?
So the one thing I think that I don't do is I do not look at my phone. And I say this intentionally because I realize that, and this is not to a particular generation, but across the board, a lot of people are using their phones as alarm clocks. They love to have it on the side of their bed. It's the last thing they look at before they go to bed. It's the first thing they look at when they wake up. My phone actually sits outside of my room. So I do not look at my phone. I wake up, I have a traditional alarm clock that I set, and I wake up at around 6 a.m. And I enjoy actually watching the news in the morning. So I tend to watch a combination of news channels to kind of get myself updated about what's happening in the day. And then after I do my morning routine, I am usually out the door at around about 7:30. And the one thing I religiously do at 7:30 is I drop my son to school. It used to be my sons, now my elder one's at university, so my younger son now I drop him to school. And that I have been doing since they were in nursery.
Excellent.
So if, you know...
It's a time of connection, I think, with your kids at that time, when you have the car together.
Look, we have some great mornings, and we have some mornings where we're totally quiet. We have some mornings where we're listening to usually his music. But it's, you know, even if you don't end up verbally communicating, there is, at least for me, there's a great deal of appreciation in just being in the same physical space. You know, there's so much strength even in silence. And just to be with my son, to exchange a few words, you know, I've got my newspaper, I share a few articles with him about what's happening in the world. On a good morning, we may debate an issue. He may have a test or an exam that we'll talk about. but it's really one of the most positive moments of my day.
Fantastic. I love what you said about there's a lot of strength just in the silence. Just because you're just there, that's all that really matters. Right?
Yeah. People feel this compulsion that there is a need to talk. And as a result, a lot of people become very, very poor listeners. But there's no need to talk. As I said, just being together means the world.
Well said. Well said.
Yeah, that's
so last question, I mean, is that when we all go through phases where we feel we have kind of foggy thoughts and we're not really focused sometimes. But when you go to a stage where you're overwhelmed or you feel stressed, what do you really do to reset in your case?
So I'm a regular gym goer. I try and do physical activity every single day. It's a combination of running, but also lifting. And I enjoy keeping in shape. So the gym is a huge de-stressor for me. I enjoy breaking a good sweat. If it's during the day, if I'm in the office or at the school, I actually enjoy walking, even within a room. And some may look at me and think, what is he doing? Why is he pacing around? Yeah. But for me, I love thinking when I'm walking, and I feel I get my best ideas when I'm walking around. So if I do get to a stress point during the day, and obviously can't just instantly make it to the gym, I tend to walk and think.
I mean, as I said, kind of motion creates emotion. The more you move, the better you feel. So walking is such an important part to kind of store your thoughts and so on, which is what you do.
Correct. Yeah, that's a good statement. Motion creates emotion.
Yeah, fantastic. Very good. Navin, just wanted to thank you very much for all your time. Really appreciate it. I think we all can learn a lot from Navin, and wish you luck and success.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.